It's Yolanda. I'm back.
Funky. Hip hop.
Hello, this is Yolanda Murphy, and welcome to this Exceptional Journey podcast, where you will find inspiration to live courageously through adversity, empowerment to live freely despite your past, and ignition to live boldly in your purpose, all by walking the survivor's side of life. Good people. What is up? It's Yolanda. I'm back. You guys, how have you been? Of course, it's your girl Yolanda back with another episode of this Exceptional Journey podcast, where, of course, my hope is to inspire, empower, and ignite you to live your best life. If this is your first time, hello. How are you? You came right at a great time. And if this is not your first time, I know, I'm sorry. I know, I'm sorry. Let me plug social media real quick before I get started. This one will be short. I know I say that all the time, but I wanted to get in short and sweet, catch you guys up where I've been, what I've been doing, and all of those great things. Social media, as always, find me on Facebook and on Instagram at This Exceptional Journey. And then on Twitter, you can hit me up at TEJ Podcast. Guys, as always, hashtag TEJ Podcast. Any questions, comments, suggestions? I definitely want to hear from you. Yeah, I'm just going to dive right in. I have been not sharing this velvet voice with you all since my birthday. Now, mind you, it's the end of May, which we'll get to in a whole second. But my birthday is April 2nd. That is the very last podcast episode I uploaded with just me. Crazy, right? First of all, let's just go ahead and dive in. Where in the world did the last 5 months go? It can't just be me, right? I feel like it was just my birthday, and then I look up and it's actually the very end of May. Insane to me, but so much. And let me say sorry, guys. I'm sorry. My life, anyone who knows me, and if my friends or family are listening, you already know, my life is so full of things. And it's not necessarily like, because you know how sometimes you can just be busy. I mean, I've lived that life, I know what it feels like. But right now, I have a lot of great and good, productive things going on, which I'll share some of them with you in a minute. But I can't believe it's May, literally about to be June. Guys, we have, what, 7 months left of the year? What? I'll get over it in a second. I'm sorry. But yeah, sorry, guys. I had a lot of stuff going on in May. And I'll dive right in and tell you what some of that stuff is. So my therapist always says to me when I go see her, what's new, what's the same, what's different. So I'll kind of do the same thing to catch you guys up. Tons of new stuff. I'll get there in a minute. Same. I'm still working, all of that great adulting stuff that we have to do. My two jobs, which is fantastic. It's been amazing. Same thing. I'm still, singing at church, still spending time with friends and family. This last month or so, I've got to spend some great time with friends and family for birthdays. The turn up at some of those events was real. I was able to go axe throwing again for one of my close friends' birthday. Hey, girl. Hey, Jewel. So it was a really great time. I did a lot of positive things this last almost 2 months. Uh, got to spend a lot of great time with some great, phenomenal people. So that's always good, right? And I also, literally, probably within the last 2 to 3 weeks, took some time for me. I actually did not go to some events that I was scheduled to go to. And thankfully, the people that I was to go with understood if I had to reschedule or cancel. Because I was like, you know what? I just need to spend time with me. I need to reflect. I need to read. I need to woosah. I need to rest. And I did just that. I did just that. So, I mean, literally from April till now, life has been great. Like, I have no complaints. I mean, I do, but I mean, is it worth it? I mean, I still have my cancer life. Speaking of post menopause things. So I still have the body pains. I still have the hot flashes. I mean, but we're not talking about that stuff, right? But I mean, let's keep it real. That stuff is also happening and getting on my nerves every single day. I actually had a doctor's appointment this week, and I'm still looking good. So that's positive, right? So all in all, guys, I again wanted to hop on very briefly and say, what's up? How have you been? I've gotten so much feedback, specifically from my friends, because they know, the fervor and the passion I have behind this podcast and my blog and all of that. And they're like, girl, where is the new podcast? And I'm like, guys, I'm sorry. There's just so much going on. So I tried to prioritize as best as possible. And let me just stop here. If you've listened to maybe two or three, maybe even four podcasts ago, I literally have been hoarse. I have been hoarse. As you can tell, I am still hoarse. But this just started like within the last couple of days, but it happens so frequently. I mean, I told my doctor, I went to the doctor. I mean, he says I'm healthy. Everything is good. I'm thinking it's a mixture of allergies and dehydration. So I've been like guzzling water, Gatorade, all of that stuff. So yeah, that's why I still sound like this. If this is your first time, I don't usually sound like this. But is it a little sexy? I don't know. You let me know. But either way it goes, guys, I'm so glad to be back. It feels like I'm back home. I've missed talking to you guys, rambling for no reason. I've missed just communicating with you all, reaching out, hearing back from you all. And I have again heard from friends and people like on Instagram, like, girl, where's the podcast? So here I am, guys. I am back with another episode. But like I said, I just wanted to fill you in real brief about what I've been doing, at least since I spoke to you last in April. Tell you what's new, what's not, what's the same. I'm still here. I'm living. Hello. And I'm grateful that that is the same. All right. I'm still living cancer free. I turned 40 in April, as most of you know. I still can't get over saying I'm 40. I don't know. It's been like a month and a half, almost 2 months. And I still can't get over like when people say, oh, how old are you? Oh, I'm 40. What? It still throws me for a whole loop. But I'm embracing it. All the changes, the growing, the transition. I'm embracing it all. So there's that, guys. And I think there's nothing else that was the same. I mean, my family's fine. If you've listened to the podcast with my mom and dad, they're still crazy. I have gotten so much positive feedback from that episode. Literally, guys, that is my mom and dad. I mean, minus the volume, because as you can tell, I'm very boisterous. Me and my mom are very boisterous. My dad talks a lot, but me and my mom are animated and dramatic. But literally, that is them all the time. Literally all the time. But like I have a close friend who I've known for years. She knows my parents. We're all cool. And after she listened to the podcast, she texted me and was like, legit, those are your parents. Like that podcast to a T summed up like all of your relationships, like your mom and dad's relationship. Like it was perfect. So guys, up until this point, if you've listened to any other podcast besides this one, thank you so much for rocking with your girl. And the fact that you're listening to this one means, you're kind of sticking around. So I'm grateful for you. But let me jump right into what is new. I don't want to belabor the moment, because I do want to let you know kind of what my vision is, what my own personal goals are, and what my vision is for the podcast, for the blog, and everything in between. So a few new things. Number one, I will be featured on a few blogs, probably within the next month or so, with LBBC, which is Living Beyond Breast Cancer. They have something on their blog called the Volunteer Spotlight. And if some of you don't know, I actually was trained. My very first advocacy training was with Living Beyond Breast Cancer in 2017, I'm sorry, July. I was trained as a young advocate, and I had a year term, where I had things that I had to accomplish and do, and finish that up July 2018. So they reached out and was like, hey, can we feature you in our volunteer spotlight? I was like, of course, why not? So that should be coming up within the next month or so. And then another blog I'll be featured on is YSC, which is Young Survival Coalition. You've heard me talk about that amazing organization. again, someone reached out to me from their and content department and said, "Hey, one of my colleagues at YSC listens to your blog. I mean, listens to your podcast, and she's a huge fan. I think we should share your story. This is the information I would need." And I was like, first of all, I got a fan. Like, like I do this because I want to reach out to you guys. I want us to create a community, but a fan, like, it threw me for a whole loop. So that blog submission should also, I'm sorry, be coming out within the next month or so. And while I'm speaking of YSC, let me also touch on in April. Was it April? It was either the end of April or beginning of May. Someone who is because I'm also a state leader for YSC, and my regional director reached out to me and said, "Hey, we're recruiting for our council of advisors, and we thought of you. We would love to have your input. We would love to have you on the board to bring fresh ideas, fresh, momentum. What do you think?" And I was like, "Wait, what?" You want me to be on what? So there's that. That also happened in the last month. So guys, I've been working. I've been taking meetings, hopefully getting checks for all of these meetings. But I mean, had some really positive things, going on. So there's that with YSC as well. I'm also now connected. It's been a couple months in the works, but I had a few meetings over the last month or so. There is a organization here in Pittsburgh called the Glock Foundation. Glock like a gun, Glock, but a woman by the name of Carol Glock, who should be on the podcast in future episodes, started this nonprofit about 5 or 6 years ago. She is also a breast cancer survivor. She had inflammatory breast cancer, was on a clinical trial. It basically saved her life. So she started this nonprofit to educate women about early detection, of course, prevention of breast cancer, all the tools and tricks and resources that someone not being diagnosed would use. And then as well, she also educates women who are diagnosed about clinical trials, every race, every age, it doesn't matter. But she reached out to me, and again, this has been maybe since the end of last year. We initially talked about it, and then January, we kind of sat down. I'm sorry, I'm not telling the truth. I'm not telling the truth. My meetings are getting mixed up. I'll just say this. Towards the beginning of this year, she rolled out this idea to me to create an African American women's initiative under the umbrella of Glock Foundation, and she wanted me to spearhead that. She wants education, prevention, early detection in the African American community. If you all are already familiar with the statistics, at this point, I think the percentage is 42%. That African American women, although we get breast cancer less than any other racial group, we die from it 42% more than anyone else. So, she really had a passion and a tug on her heart to create this initiative, and she thought of me to spearhead it. So you guys will be hearing more about that. This is literally just in the works. But I wanted to share so that later down the line, it won't be a surprise and you won't be like, "Oh my goodness, Shalonda, what are you working on?" And you'll already know. So that's that with the Glock Foundation, again, here in the city of Pittsburgh. Guys, I've been working. I mean, but working on my future, working on things that I want to do. So another thing I've been working on is product development. I actually have a friend, and I don't know if I've mentioned this in a previous podcast. I have a friend who is a fashion designer, and I've been working with her on a product, my initial, what I'm calling like my flagship product of a product line that I want to start, geared specifically towards cancer patients. And it doesn't just have to be breast cancer, but of course that's my area of expertise, so that's where I'm going to start. But I've been working on specifically on one product right now. And like I said, I have a friend who's designing a prototype or a demo for me of that. And then I've been taking meetings with different organizations here in the city that assist young entrepreneurs, specifically women entrepreneurs, and getting your vision and your idea to fruition. So I've literally been talking, to some very powerful women in the city, getting resources, getting connected. Still have some more phone calls to make, of course, but I've literally like this has been such a journey. Just even in the product development itself, like talking to the right people, speaking of distribution and just all of it's been fantastic. It's been a lot, but it's been fantastic. So I'm working on that, which then and this is still something weird for me to say. I'm an entrepreneur. And not that I really didn't think of myself as one before, but you know how you think of something, and even if you write it down, it's different than when you actually start to see things rolling and moving. You know what I mean? It's different. So to segue into this program I'm a part of right now, it doesn't have a title, I don't think, but it is a collaboration with two specific organizations here in the city of Pittsburgh. One of them being Prototype Pittsburgh, which is I believe it's a nonprofit. Two women started because they saw here in the city of Pittsburgh, probably as you know, everyone, unless you're living under the rock, under a rock knows, Pittsburgh is known for meds and eds, for education and for medicine. Pittsburgh is now coming up for technology. We have a lot of great things on the horizon, a lot of great companies, you know what I mean, that are here. So they saw a need for women working in technology, and they created Prototype Pittsburgh to create a maker space where you can come in, you can sew, or you can do vinyl printing, or you can do 3D printing, and they give workshops and classes throughout the month to kind of gear up and educate specifically women entrepreneurs towards their goals and towards their vision. The other organization that has collabed with them is the Chatham University's Women's School of Entrepreneurship. So they basically collabed and said, hey, we want to get more women in the space of entrepreneurship, small business, startup, what have you. They are giving well, I don't have to give you the details, but they're giving us webinars and workshops to learn new crafts, new things in the space of technology. And then we have a membership to the School of Entrepreneurship for business consultating, for marketing, for, you know, social media consultation, all of that stuff. So I'm kind of working hand in hand tandem with different things, and it's been amazing. Again, literally the last month and a half, almost 2 months, I've been grinding. I've been in meetings, I've been talking to people, I've been making phone calls, because this is how important it is to me. This is how important helping someone like me is. So yeah, I mean, I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but I have one more thing. Lastly, what I wanted to discuss is new, as I'm actually going to be a panelist. If you follow me on social media, I've posted a couple times already. My girl Tiffany Huff Struthers, sorry, she's married. I went to college with her. Amazing, phenomenal woman, creative, just phenomenal. She has her organization called She Thrives, and she's having her inaugural She Thrives experience, which is kind of like a conference where you have speakers and workshops and sessions. And I was chosen to be one of the panelists for the inaugural event. So I'm uber excited about it. It's in October, which is absolutely perfect. Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So I've kind of been plugging that because early bird tickets are open now. So if you're in the city of Pittsburgh, or if you want to come, let me know. Hit me up in the comments or hit me up on social media. And you'll find all of the information there. But it's called the She Thrives Experience. So basically, it's bold, courageous, empowered women who've had a setback and are now walking through their comeback. Literally, her words. And we talk about empowerment, and we talk about how we've gone from feeling defeated to being the victor. So I'm uber excited for that. And there's some other stuff coming up, some stuff that's not solidified just yet. We'll talk about that at another time. But that's it, guys. Literally, I just wanted to talk about where I've been, what I've been doing. Also, some of the content that I have in store for the podcast and blog coming up. I want to talk about having faith over fear, going through your diagnosis, believing and trusting that you can still live your best life despite a diagnosis. I want to talk about the workplace blues. I have a fellow breast cancer survivor. Maybe about a year ago, we talked about how she was going into the workplace again for the first time after a diagnosis, chemo, radiation. And we just talked about her fears and all of that. And we talked how my situation was a little different. I had already been at my job for a couple years. I had a very understanding and amazing manager. Actually, one of my coworkers actually had breast cancer before me, so the workspace was kind of already set for the mood of breast cancer, if that makes sense. So I didn't have to go through that tension. So I definitely want to speak on that soon. Dating after diagnosis, guys, I have topics for days. I know I've been missing. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But just know I am working, I am grinding, and you guys will always be the first to know. If anything is released, if anything is worked on, I'm also working on my book, parentheses books. So I'm working, guys. I found it a privilege and an honor. First of all, that I'm still alive after facing something that some of my fellow survivors have passed from. I count it an honor and a privilege, and I'm grateful to still be here grinding and being able to produce content, to be able, excuse me, to create a space for men or women who have faced a diagnosis or faced anything else in life that was challenging, that, you can come on over, hear Yolanda's smooth, velvety voice. It's not smooth and velvety right now, but you can get empowered, that you can get inspired, that if I made it, you can make it. If I made it through this, XYZ, so can you. Guys, I found it an honor, and I'm grateful that you're rocking with your girl on this journey. I'm so excited, if you can't tell. Life has been great. The last month, life has been great in general, but the last month, almost 2 months, has been amazing. It's been amazing. It has been amazing. It's been a lot. Literally, it's been a lot, but it's been a good a lot. It's been I'm preparing, I'm setting up for my future, for my now and for my future. So again, guys, if this is your first time, thank you so much for clicking over to my little corner of the podcast world, rocking with your girl. If not, you're not new now, right? So guys, look forward to so much more. I'm not going to. I am going to be more consistent. Doesn't the Bible say, speak those things that are not as though they are? I am going to be more consistent. I'm going to have some more great survivors on, some more great co-survivors on. I have a great lineup for you guys. But again, thanks so much for sticking around. This was just a quick catch up. How you been? How you doing? How your mom and them? But that's it, y'all. I'm going to catch y'all on the survivor side of life. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.